Oh, hello. Welcome back, true believers, to the Heroes for Hire Comic Club channel. You caught me reading some Defenders. I thought I would catch up on some back issues. The Hulk, of course, he's smashing as usual. Well, tonight is episode 2 of my new weekly series called Comic Conversations, where I interview another comic book YouTuber and about their experience in the collecting and all that stuff, and much more. And I'm going to give an introduction, even though my next guest needs no introduction. He is part of the Council of Comics. You can check out his shows on, I think they do shows on Tuesday and Wednesday. He can correct me if need be. And he's also, he's one of the best people in this community. He's a good guy, great person. And without any further ado, I give you Cliff from Cliff on Comics.
Hello.
How you doing today? Or tonight?
I'm good.
Thank you for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. So I'm glad we scheduled some time for it.
Yeah, and I just tried to go for an hour because it's, I think anything that goes past an hour, it kind of digresses. The last time I did a 3-hour stream, we started talking about World War II. So,
well, you clearly have not spent enough time with me, and sometimes those powerful crashing slopes do happen.
Here we got Psychotronic Squirt Gun. Hey, buddy.
Hey, there we go.
Well, we got somebody watching. Well, at least we know that. Well, the thing is, I always used to worry about that when I started. It was like, oh, well, nobody's watching. Well, they can watch the replay. So,
Exactly.
But I guess we'll just start out with this. Let's get right into it. I stole this from Rob's Fat Stacks, but what is your comic collecting origin story, Cliff?
Well,
what got you into comics?
You could watch my episodes of Only Slabs, and I fell in love with Superman the movie on television, and that got me into comics. And then I saw a Superman comic, an issue of Action Comics where he's fighting what looked like to young me a Popeye, and it turned out it was Captain Strong, a Popeye knockoff by DC Comics. And that's one of the very first comic books I ever picked up. And then the other is an issue of All-Star Squadron where Shazam is beating up Superman. And I didn't understand the concept of Earth 2 Superman. I was like, why is this Superman older? Why is his S different?
Yeah.
So one thing led to another. And then, I was 7 years old at the time, or 8, when they rebooted Superman and John Byrne's Man of Steel was coming out. And that was literally the first thing I collected, for real collected. I got out there and I was every single week I was looking for Man of Steel at this supermarket. Yep. Except of course, my original issue 1 doesn't look like that.
Yeah, this is the first, kind of one of the first variants.
Yeah.
Is that a second print? I don't know, but
no, that's first print. That was the direct edition, and I didn't see that for quite some time. I didn't see that until I went into my first. Oh no, I didn't see that until I had a tumor removed from my arm as a kid, and my sister brought me the whole Man of Steel from a comic book store in Connecticut. And it had that cover, and I did not own that cover. And she got me a bunch of classic Superman, and I was so happy because, the classic Superman, I already liked Vartox. Oh, that was another one of the first comics I got. I'm pretty sure there was Superman versus Vartox, and I'm pretty sure we got the second issue first, and Superman's back in his chair, in that giant Fortress computer, right? And so I needed part 1 and part 3, and made my mother crazy until we had all 3 parts. And she read them to me. She read them to me as a kid. And that poor woman suffered reading it to me over and over again. Lana in danger and Superman repelling fireballs, all of this stuff. So yeah, and then, needless to say, just kept growing from there. And then in junior high school, I had some buddies lure me into reading Marvel Comics, and there you have it.
The rest is history.
Pretty much.
But but yeah, this was like a good entry point for me in the like you were talking about for like Superman was with this John Byrne, because you don't have to remember all the stuff that's went on before. You can just start reading it. And actually, I just need number 6, and I'll have them all. So I know I want to reread it again, but I was like that. I bothered my mom too, like with Amazing Spider-Man. I bought Amazing Spider-Man issue 322 at the 7-Eleven, right? But there was 2 other parts before that. It was like a 6-part, story arc. So I badgered her until she ordered the three 21 and 20 out of the back of the comic book from Mile High Comics. That was the first time I ordered from Mile High Comics. I said, I got to know what happened.
So my first back issues are ordered from Mile High Comics because of my mom. So issue number 2 of Man of Steel, where Lois fakes drowning herself so Superman will rescue her. There's a full page ad for a bunch of 50-cent comics. And no, my sister lived in Connecticut at the time. I always lived in New York.
Hey, cheap comic collector.
So, but I drive across the border plenty.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to make it to CliffsCon Sunday. Let's see if I really do it this time. So yeah, she ordered all these comics for me. They came eventually, and I was so excited. I got all these adventures of Superboy and a few Superboy and the Legion, and and then I wanted to know who the Legion was, and the Legion showed up in Superman number 8, and I was getting all like twisted about it, and I couldn't. I had to figure out what Crisis was and why Crisis happened, and it was just all about it. DJ Wise, hello.
Thanks for DJ Wise. Thanks
for checking on your friends. Thanks for making sure that we're well.
It feels good to know that people care, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Well, this next one might be a loaded question. Mike last week thought it was. What do you love about comics? What you see it, you're like, oh my God, I love it. I mean, when I see it, I just like, I don't know. Especially when I see something I read when I was a kid, I'm like, oh my God, I got to reread that. I don't know. It's just like, I love the stories. I love the art. I mean, just in general, why do you love comic books?
I love the story. I love the art. I love the escapism. I needed, and I desperately needed. Everyone talks, not everyone. Many of us talk about comics saved our lives, right?
Yes, I do.
And I needed that escapism, and I'm pretty sure that escapism saved my life because I was so different from everyone else and felt so out of place for so long, but comics were a refuge for me.
Well, I was kind of like the misfit. I couldn't play sports because I had no history, and like where I'm from, it's big football. Why don't you play football? You're a big guy.
Yep.
And then I got
that was the expectation.
Yeah.
Why don't you play football? Why don't you play football?
I got kind of bullied anyway, like in grade school. So, and I was the only child. So, like the comics, my dad would bring some back from when he'd go somewhere to an army base when he was in the National Guard. And I kind of drove the store on the ground, but he would bring back like Little Devil, Casper the Friendly Ghost, like some Charlton stuff, Star Wars stuff, G.I. Joe, Spider-Man, and I don't know. It's just, and I would escape through that. I was always the kind of kid that had it might have been like me. I had a vivid imagination. And like I remember watching Star Wars as a kid, the part where they go on the rebel ship and Darth Vader walks through the hallway, right? I would hide behind the couch. And I always thought there were little guys in the TV when I was like 4 years old. So, I don't know if that says what it says about me, but I kind of just derailed the whole show, didn't I, by that stupid story? But okay. Cliff, what is your favorite comic book series? That's a hard one too, isn't it? Or, series is plural. You can name more than one. I think I've stumped him.
I'm terribly fond of Hey, Sleepy Reader, and hey, Jagular. I am terribly fond of. Okay, geez, this is hard.
That's what we're here for, the hard hitting
So
questions.
I am all right. So I'm gonna pick storylines, right? I'm
That's fine.
I'm very fond of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'm one of those people. I do an annual reread of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And and no matter when I pick it up, if I pick up Supergirl's death, I cry. And I didn't get to argue this with Mark on Legion of Comics. He was saying that I had to have had some kind of contextual relationship with Supergirl that led me to get emotional. But I barely knew Supergirl. Barely knew Supergirl. I think I had read 2 comics that actually featured Supergirl whatsoever. Right? And it's so funny because tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow the Death of Barry Allen reprint hits the stands.
Oh yeah, it does.
So, but the death of Supergirl moved me instantly and still moves me because from the moment they're attacked to then the moment she hears Kal-El scream, she knows that whatever is making him scream could surely kill her. And she marches on, right? And she wails on the Anti-Monitor. And, Dr. Light is there, and she's just so impressed. She's like, oh my God, she's fearless. She's powerful. She doesn't give up. She's relentless. And Supergirl even gives the speech about how I believe life is the most precious gift, but I'm not sure that you deserve life to the Anti-Monitor. you know and she's broken his armor and everything, and of course she stops to scream at Dr. Light to get Kal-El away, and then that's the burst of antimatter energy that takes her out, and then the Anti-Monitor immediately escapes because of course his armament is wrecked and he technically is dying, and it's Superman goes over to her body and she's like, it's okay, I was brave because you taught me to be brave. And that's it. I had very little context of Supergirl at this point in my life when I read it for the first time, and just the narration of her bravery and it's okay, I was brave and you taught me how to be brave moves me to freaking tears
It
every
is,
time.
and you don't rarely see Superman cry like this, like the way George Perez drew him on there. You're like, whoa. When you're a kid, that's a heavy thing to get into, like finding out she died.
Yeah.
And but you know what? Back then they didn't care to play with the emotions a little bit, like even like Disney. I remember Disney was, I always say, traumatized kids with movies like Oh Yeller and Bambi.
AMB,
But Dr.
popcorn.
Von Hoot here. Hey, Dr. Von Hoot. Yeah, and you can't go wrong with George Perez doing the art for it either. So I think that's a good favorite series, and it does
The
count
thing
as a
is, it's
series,
hard.
by the way.
That one's hard to share with people because you can't walk into that blind. Reading that and not knowing what the multiverse is a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Missy Mars. Because like I once got a copy for a younger friend of mine, and he's like, Cliff, like it's cool, but I don't feel about it the way you feel about it. And I was just like, it's just so great.
Yeah.
And but needless to say, one of my favorites, um, the Paul Levitz run on Legion of Superheroes. I really love up until issue, I want to say issue 30 or so, but there's this whole thing, like the whole who is Censor Girl thing is one of my favorite stories, but like that's not a labeled story arc, so like that's like really hard to talk about. A favorite classic of mine, the Korvac saga, because not only do you got the Avengers up in there, you got some of the Fantastic Four, and you got the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's so cool, and
And it's
all
a
of
very
them.
great. Yeah, it's that's one of my favorite stories, and like you got great art from even George Perez, Cockrum, all these people. Yeah, and they actually did that on remember the show Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon.
Yes,
They did a whole Corvette saga on there, and I don't know how they managed to do it, but they managed to do it in
they
one
really
episode.
they really did, and they did such a great job. I mean, of course, I didn't get my precious Guardians of the Galaxy, but they did a great job.
Yeah. Well, I said, I guess this might be I don't know
Wait,
if this is
wait. I wanna
okay.
recommend one more, and it's called The Private War of Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The Private War of Doctor Doom crossed over between the Avengers, Thor. No, the Avengers and supervillain team up. And
Oh, yeah.
wait, it was super. I feel like there's something else. I feel like there was one other book in the mix.
Would that be kind of like one of the first ones that had tie-ins, you think?
No, because it was a crossover. So it was Avengers
Oh, okay.
150, 151, 152, which gives us a first appearance with Nightmare in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it's a Jack Kirby cover too. Then 153, Home is the Hero. Blah 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 blah. Then we get Avengers Annual number 6, No Final Victory, guest starring the Wizard. Avengers 154, When Strikes Atuma Part 1. Supervillain Team Up number 9, which is the first time that Iron Man and Doctor Doom go toe to toe, and they're going toe to toe right on the cover. Then Avengers 155, where Beast and Namor are on the cover. Avengers 156, where is the big wrap up, and Avengers 156 is called. So this is funny, right? Part 1 was called When Strikes Atuma. In 150, this is the final chapter, right? So part one of 4 of the final chapter is When Strikes Atuma in Avengers 154. Part 2 is Pawns of Atuma in Supervillain Team Up number 9. Part 3 is To Stand Alone in number 155 of Avengers. And then the last part, The Private War of Doctor Doom, part 4 of 4, is in Avengers 156. Like, they did not care back then. They were like, every this is part 1 of 4, but each chapter will have its own title.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Avengers 156, also, I used to have that one. It's got the cover where he's like pushing, like the Scarlet Witch is like falling off the building or something, I think. And it's got Doom right in the middle of it. That's a good cover, too.
Yeah, like Cap is catching Scarlet Witch, whose arm is already in a sling. Vision is phasing out of the building. Doom is blasting down. I mean, it's great. I think it's is that a cover?
Yeah, I think so. It's got all the elements, and then there's and the other one in the Korvac saga I was talking about was the one where they're teleporting like Black Widow and a couple other people. I think Wonder Man. Yeah, it's a George Perez cover. I love that one.
Beautiful.
Speaking of the Avengers, I always liked the Kree Skrull War, but not as much as I liked the Korvac saga for some reason.
I like the Kree Skrull War. Of course, like some of it has not really aged great.
That's true. It's like when I read. I had the Epic collection where it's like Avengers. It's like issues 1 through 10, and some of the writing just
right. You're like, what just happened here?
Yeah,
but like Korvac saga, I feel like that one's still great.
Yeah, and it's like I just know it's just not great because the Korvac guy is kind of a complicated character and then once he finds out that his wife is scared of him, that he just like gives up. I thought that was kind of cool. Like you've turned into something. I guess we can all relate to that. You've turned into something that you didn't want to turn into. But maybe I'm reading too much into it. But
no, you're not. You're exactly what it was. What was there? Great.
Kind of like what's Aaron Eckhart saying? The Dark Knight Return or the Dark Knight. He says
about living long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of I don't know why I said speaking of. Never mind. The next question is, why did you decide to start a YouTube channel about comic books, Cliff?
Well, oh my God. Why? See, you ask me questions that are not simple. So a long time ago.
I'm not Barbara Walters here.
I know, except, Barbara, Barbara has that finesse,
Oh, yeah. I just kind of go right into it.
she would blow it every once in a while, too. Now, Matthew, you told me that when you were partying on the 16th floor. Never mind, I'm not doing it. All right, so
You're gonna have me cry like
yeah, I'm gonna have you cry like Mike Tyson did, and then I'm gonna have you give me death stares like Ricky Martin did. I'm gonna go through the whole thing, but so I had a streaming, a podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever podcasts were found back in 2006 and 7, called The Ring Is Chosen, and it was about the Versus trading card game, which there was a DC edition and a Marvel edition, and of course they were compatible, and the tournaments were great, and I was huge in that scene, and there was a show prior to that, and these guys were shifting their focus to Warhammer, but they wanted to turn Versus off to people they felt were passionate about it. And since me and this guy Squire were always in the chat and in the forum, always offering advice and corrections and naming comic books that the cards were from and the storylines, they thought we would be a great pair. And we had a nice show. And we did all right. And then the game got canceled. And, the community kept it alive on its own. And now there's a new versus system and whatever. That has happened. But it gave me that first taste of I wanted to be present and have representation. Now, funny thing here, Upper Deck interviewed a bunch of people from the community who are prominent, including me. And there was a middleman involved who was very friendly with me from the UK. And he wrote back to me, I'm very sorry. Because in my responses, I talked about isolation, being gay as a child, and Upper Deck removed all of that from my response.
Huh.
And I said I expected nothing less, because this is just basically how it's been my whole life, But at least if you listen to my podcast, you know damn well I'm gay. There you go, right? I'm still gonna be out there representing. But
and as well you should, Cliff.
Yeah. So that was one of many moments in my life that left me with, I really should be the voice of what I want to see in the community, and that represents, there's other people like me, and I should be able to represent them. I'm super proud and great with being gay. It has helped me be strong in ways that no one will appreciate, because to this very day, even this morning, I have people telling me, what are you worried about? And, you're doing great, and everything is fine. And this is like, they weren't there for all the discrimination that I faced. And they're not there for discrimination that I face in the present, So, and over ridiculous things.
Well, when I was a kid too, when I was in high school in the 90s, I'm really showing my age here, but I graduated in 96.
So did I.
There were jokes. All right. There were jokes that were cool. They weren't cool, but people wouldn't frown on them back then that you can't say and you shouldn't say now. But there's still people, I think, out there that think that they still get away with it.
Yes. And other things. And just sometimes absolute pure ignorance. And it's exhausting.
I'd say it is.
That said, so then I did Read, Watch, Play with my friend Tony for Kerwin's Game Store, and that was fun. Then Tony moved away, and that kind of fell through. So I was always hungry for this, and I always make the joke about wanting to be Big Gay Oprah, so that one day I could just be like, you all get a slab, from one of the things from a major con. And that's it. So that was why. And then of course when Sam came around 2 years ago with the Council of Comics, I was like, well, I already have experience. Let's just do it, And here we are.
And you're doing quite well. You're almost to 1,000 subs on your own. The Council of Comics is already over 1,000 subscribers, and y'all won a comic book community award. So
last year and this year,
There
new
you go. Back to back. Cliff's like
back-
Meryl
yeah.
Streep. See, he's keep racking them up.
So last year we won most. Last year we won most comedic, and this year we won for ongoing series New Comic Book Day. And I feel the group consensus is multi-award winning show, because technically, if you're watching New Comic Book Day last year, that's why you would think, we were comedic at all.
Yeah.
Aaron, thank you.
But you all have fun. I've sat in on a lot of your streams and with those guys, and you guys seem to have a good rapport with each other, and you play off each other and you joke around, but it's really good because it's actually informative too. I learned some stuff, so
I really try, and also it's not like the old days. Google is right there, so we could be mid conversation, and I can look stuff up and make sure that we have something. To something to share. Like, oh yeah, this character appeared in Amazing Spider-Man 153, and now she's back in armor. Yeah.
Well, there's a follow-up to that question about why you started. What is your favorite thing about having a YouTube channel?
The community, and I think that's the number one answer for most people.
That's my number one answer too.
If your answer isn't the community that you engage in, or that you've created for yourself, or that you are like, I'm trying to cultivate community within the community, right? And I really wish I was going about. There's things I wish I could do to go about it, but I'm doing with what I have. I'm going about it the best I can, Yeah. And so so of course that's the best part, And at the end of the day, regardless of anything, that's all I would be interested in.
And that's
of course I do still want to get to the point where I'm Big Gay Oprah and everybody who comes to my panel gets a slab. I still want that.
Yeah. You get a slab, and you get a slab, and look under your seat. You get a slab.
Let me tell you, the first panel, if I do a panel, a real panel, that I'm hosting, right? If I'm hosting it, let's be clear. If someone has me on their panel, it's not gonna happen. But if I'm hosting the panel and I've released my comic, everyone should be sure to be there, because that's going to be the time. That's going to be when I have my
You just let me know, and I will be there.
You will travel many state lines.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. And the one thing about this community is great now to me is where I'm disabled. I don't get out as much as I used to, and I don't really have any friends around here that like comic books. The only friend I know that's not on YouTube that likes comic books lives in Cincinnati, which is like 200 miles away from me. And then also, I've met people like Mad Spidey. He lives in Australia. Shout out to him, and Dr. Von Hoot.
Yes.
Who's in Great Britain. And I would have never really known anybody from there unless I'd traveled there, and I can't. So, and you're in New York, I'm in Kentucky, but we have a common ground here in comic books.
And very similar age. I mean, we both started with Man of Steel. We both graduated in 96.
Yeah. See, it doesn't matter where you're from. It's like, I don't know, comic books to me, are a universal thing, and I think most of them are positive. I mean, I know there's some more adult comic books, but I just remember when I was a kid, it kind of makes you feel good. Like, well, good guys are going to win out eventually, even if somebody died. Like, we were talking about the Supergirl thing. She knew, and you hear about these people. I know they're not real people, but like you have these characters like her that were selfless, even though she knew going into that battle with the Anti-Monitor, she might die, but she was still going to do it anyway. It's like Captain America. He's going to go into. He does not care. If it's the right thing, he's going to do it, even if it hurts him in the end.
Absolutely. So, and that's the beauty of it, Yeah.
And I hope that you're going to Heroes Con, because I'm definitely going this year.
Well, that is my plan, and I am hurting myself as much as possible to make it happen.
Well, so this may be another tough one. And it doesn't have to be like a top 5 or your all-time favorite. But just name me a few. If you got any comics that go with it, that's cool. You don't have to. Some of your 5 favorite artists, or not 5. Let me mark that out. What are some of your favorite artists and writers in comic books?
Artist: George Perez, Jim Lee. Oh my God! Almost everybody at Ghost Machine right now.
Oh yeah,
Gary Frank.
Yeah,
Gary Frank.
Gary
Love John Romita Senior. Senior.
Senior. Yes.
Senior. Walt Simonson.
Oh yeah. Obviously.
You know, John Byrne.
Yeah, I love John Byrne.
You know, classy John Byrne. Classy John Byrne.
He can get a little crazy when he's not with Marvel.
He's just no man. That man is well off the chain. You know, like it. You know, I still love his work. It is what it is.
Not as off the chain as Glenn Danzig's comics happen to be.
All right. Ivan Reyes his name is pronounced Ivan Hayes. I love Ivan.
Yeah.
I love Joe Prado. Joe Prado is just amazing. Joe Prado drew my Iceman cover that I commissioned, and that I adore. Klaus Janson, legend. All right.
Oh yes, Klaus.
Legend.
And some of his collaborations were, you know, and that's actually my favorite collaborations is of that, or things that Frank Miller does is when he writes and Klaus Janson was doing the art.
Yes, and Klaus Janson was doing all of his finishes and making Daredevil look amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't. That's why I'm hard and knock Klaus. I mean, knock Frank Miller as an artist and knock John Romita Jr. as an artist because
well, okay. You know, we can't all like the same things. You know,
they also when they were great, they had excellent help. I will say this. There is this hardcover out there that I saw on Comic Journeys channel a few weeks ago. That's from Frank Miller, and it is exceptionally impressive to the point where I would like to pick it up.
That's with Klaus Janson and Lynn Bartley. You know, and I call them three of the goats. You know, I mean, I agree with you on the Frank Miller part of like his newer, like I think he's just lost it. I think he's lost the with the old sailors would say he's lost the horizon. You know what I mean? Yeah. And but yeah, he's kind of like
he likes a paycheck. He likes a paycheck.
And he probably needs it right now. So, you know, let's just,
I'm sure that's what happened. They're like, it's Frank. He's older. Like, I'm sure that's going on. I'm sure.
But as far as the other ones you were talking about, John Byrne, I love John Byrne, George Perez. I actually shed a tear the day he died.
As did I. I've met him multiple times, and I just love him.
And, you know, I never got to meet him at any conventions or anything. But, like, just, you know, I could tell by watching videos of him interacting with fans that he really cared about his fans and he respected them. And, like, he would, like, do crazy stuff. Like, he got there's a photo of a girl that wanted him to hold her in his arms like Supergirl. Like, you know, and the Crisis on Infinite Earths. And he did it. I mean, how many artists would actually do something like that? Like,
no. And by the way, he did it multiple times.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it wasn't the only one. And speaking of George Perez, I hate to go off on but it's kind of like when somebody says, you know, recognize real, brother. He signed it.
Beautiful.
And just, I mean, I always loved the way he drew Scarlet Witch. I don't know why, but I guess I know why, because she's gorgeous.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of young men know why. A lot of. Okay, so Frank Miller didn't have help on Sin City, so if that makes you, so Sin City is something uniquely his, and I will give him full credit for that. Full credit.
Ronan is pretty good too. I always thought it was interesting that.
Right, it never appealed to me, but I will gladly give him. Gladly give him credit for that.
And the work he did with Hard Boiled with what's his name? Jeff Darrow is wild, but he just wrote that. Darrow did all the art. But
here's a great Perez cover.
Let me enlarge the screen here. Hold on, Cliff. I'm sorry. It's just there. Oh yeah, that's Superboy. Yeah.
Yeah, rejoins the Legion. Because he had learned about his parents' death and how they would die, and so Saturn Girl just made him like she didn't want him to have the pain of like every time he came to the 30th century of remembering that and that he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So she put something in his subconscious to make him go home and stay home. But there was an accident which led to the Reflecto saga. So this is technically the end of the Reflecto saga. So this hero Reflecto shows up, right? So he's actually Ultra Boy trapped in Superboy's body, but he didn't know how to explain it to everybody, and he himself was a little bit messed up. So he takes on the identity of Reflecto, you know, and so like, and then of course he actually gets hurt, and then they're able to shake it out of him and piece together what happened. That he was essentially a ghost, and he was trying to reach out, and he just saw Superboy, and he ended up in Superboy's body, and one thing led to another, to another, to another. I mean, it's a ridiculous story, but it's like a great ridiculous story.
That's why I love comics. So anything can happen.
Yes,
Somebody could die, and they can bring them back the next issue. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, this
Like,
was not.
nothing's off limits. Like when they were talking about Jurgens and Breeding, when they were talking about what they were going to do for Superman the next year,
Yep.
and Jurgens is like, just fucking kill him.
Well, yeah, but that was a joke until the Lois and Clark thing happened. By the way,
yeah.
here's another phenomenal Perez cover.
Oh yes. I just put one on my claim sale, and I forgot it was George Perez, and I sold it.
So love this. It's from
That's all
19.
me though. I'll tell you another one is that I don't know why I like it, but I'll show you some more George Perez I like. I just love this Ultron cover. It's from
It is a great cover. That whole series.
Yeah, and it doesn't get enough love. It's like, but Busick and Perez on this were just they were like a dynamic duo together. And then you got this one. I like this one where it's like, who will it be? The new Avengers.
Yep.
And it's just kind of classic with that A on it. I just love that whole run. I can't say enough good things about George Perez. Wonder Woman.
Yep.
He basically brought Wonder Woman back from the brink of just like, I mean, they were talking about, like, I think her not even having a series there for a while.
Oh no, because she was like the last to get a reboot of the original 3.
Yeah.
You know, poor boy. I have a big ass Perez book here, and now I don't even know where I did it. I'm like, it's somewhere. I'm not sure where. It's somewhere.
He did great ones like when he was on the volume 1 of Avengers too, you know, like we were talking about earlier. And then we're forgetting about the new Teen Titans. Obviously, he killed that. That was awesome.
Yes. I mean, the things that were done were incredible.
Yes, and like it was a great storytelling. You know, you had that thing about Tara. She joined the team, then she betrays them. That's all him, right? Him and Marv Wolfman.
Amazing, amazing stuff. I can't.
So what I tell people is like, even if you got a good writer, you have to have a good artist to be able to tell the story, even if there's not dialogue. Like if you could look at something and it still tells a story without reading the dialogue, then I think you've succeeded.
That's a huge success. Huge.
And sometimes, like, you know, Jack Kirby, he had to, I mean, you know, basically Stan Lee's just giving him like a overview of the story. He's the one that has to tell it.
That's true. By the way, I keep looking around. I just give up.
Okay, it's okay. We can move on anyway. Because we got about, what is your favorite comic book character or characters?
Superman. And the Superman family. And I include the Legion of Superheroes in the Superman family.
As well you should, sir.
As well I should, as they deserve it. But I also love the X-Men, and I love the Young Avengers. Wiccan is the greatest thing of my midlife. All right? I was at midlife, Wiccan and Hulkling entered, and I was like, oh, thank God you're here. You know, like, I was like, finally somebody created you, and you're pretty precious. I love you guys. I appreciate them for showing up and just being what they needed to be.
Yeah. I even like the non-Superman family, like Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane and Perry White and all those guys and girls. You know, and he's got some of the coolest bad guys too, him and Batman. Like, I mean, I know they want to always say Batman, and Batman probably does have one of the best rogues got ours, but I mean, you got Lex Luthor, Brainiac.
Yep.
Parasite, Livewire, Toyman, and there's other
Mongol,
ones. I know I'm skipping some, but
Mongol, Doomsday,
yeah,
Dark Side,
Dark Side, obviously, yeah.
Mr. Mixaflick, Metallo,
Oh, Metallo's cool, and I always like Missing.
Bizarro,
Yeah, Bizarro. There was one
Zod.
like, oh yeah, yeah. You can just go on and on.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, and I love Superman as a kid. I actually had Superman bed sheets, and I had I had an experience though, like you did. I remember watching the first Superman movie, and that was it for me. I was hooked. Christopher Reeves is like,
As
okay,
it
so everybody's going to be judged against him the rest of their life as far as Christopher Reeves.
probably, yeah.
Superman,
And
yeah. I
that's
mean,
that just comes with the territory.
yeah, it's same like with Keaton. I mean, I know Adam West was first, but Michael Keaton really made him the Dark Knight.
Yes.
And like you can't ever take that away from him. He's the, and I remember like people are like, my stepdad. He's like, because Michael Keaton had done movies like Mr. Mom and Gung Ho and all those comedies. There's like
And Multiplicity, yes.
yeah, and Michael Keaton's going to be Batman.
Yeah, I felt the same way as a kid. I felt the same way.
But and I'll tell you another deep cut for him is movies is Johnny Dangerously. That movie's hilarious. I know I'm getting off on going down a rabbit hole. You got to watch me. I'll go down a rabbit hole all the time, Cliff. So, okay. Well,
listen, I got to watch you. Who's watching me?
Yeah. I don't know who watches The Watchmen, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Is there anything else? What else do you collect besides comics?
That I collect some mugs, and even then, I prefer them to be comic-related mugs. I've wasted so much money on so many things. It's like a nightmare.
I do too. I collect like figures and stuff, or like statues, and I have Funko Pops. I'm kind of like all over the place. I have Nintendo.
Yeah, I've decided I will maintain my focus on comics, and occasionally I'll pick up a nice treat outside of comics.
I'm trying to, but I don't know.
I really enjoy original art. Does that count?
Yes, it does.
Because look at that Wolverine behind me.
Oh yeah, that's a sketch. Yeah,
that's Dexter Vines on there.
I have some sketches covers coming in, Cliff, and Mom's getting ready to do some, and we're going to sell them. And if anybody, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait to show everybody. So,
now you've got me interested.
She's going to do commissions too. If anybody needs anything drawn on, you've seen her art before, I think. So,
I've seen. Okay, you know what? We'll have to review that. We'll have to review.
All right, never mind. I'll show you later after the show.
Okay.
So this is another tough question: Marvel or DC or both?
Well, wait. First,
which one do you like? Do you like one better than the other one?
I'm a DC boy. That one's easy. But Psychotronic Squirt Gun, Aaron, Cliff, who's your favorite Superman artist? Now, so classic George Perez, more recent Gary Frank. But love me some Dan Mora and love me some Jorge Jimenez.
Oh yeah, he's been doing. Well, I had one here. I can't remember his name. It might be the same one.
And oh my God, what is his name? There's one guy who I really love, Terry Moore. Terry Moore, give me some hot, sexy super nipple action. Terry Moore, come on, baby. Do it for me, Terry. Do it.
Also, I kind of like. I know it's kind of been overprinted and everything, but I like the this run a lot. But it's cause you know how it is when you're a kid or growing up. The stuff you remember seems like that stands out the most in your mind. And like we were talking about Dan Jurgens. Like
Dan and Brett Breeding. How can I forget? Love them.
And like the whole story, the way they did that whole thing to me, and like I was not one of those people that thought they killed Superman for good. But reading that story, you're like, oh my God, I was just like, you see him dying in Lois Lane's arms, and he's like, you thought you would never see something like that, and it really,
and they kept him dead for 2 years.
I know, And they had that whole rollout with these guys like
The Reign of the Supermen. Yep.
the Cyborg Superman. Then you got
The
actually this one
Eradicator.
here is like the I have a couple of keys here. This is first appearance of that of
He actually his first appearance is in Adventures of Superman 500.
Tampa Moon. Okay, so it's okay. What's the early one then?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Supergirl,
Yep.
and then this
She
is
took over
I don't know if this is right, but somebody told me it was the first appearance of Steel.
That is the first appearance of Steel and Connor Kent.
Oh, okay. And but yeah, I like. That's a good answer, by the way. I like the. I like them. I try to like them both. I guess growing up, it was more Marvel for me because I like Spider-Man, and I collected these. It wasn't just like the Marvel superheroes though. I got into collecting because, as you probably know already, because I beat it like a dead horse, G.I. Joe comics.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole thing. I guess because my dad was in the military, and I had the toys. So and then I guess, but that was a good gateway to learn about the Amazing Spider-Man and Daredevil and all these great guys. And then you know how they say, like people say it about cars. I say it about Marvel Comics. They don't make them like they used to, though. I mean, I like the new stuff too, but I feel like DC's kind of trying to take a few more risks these days. And
well, yeah, of course, it's a competition.
So, okay, which comic in your collection is your most prized possession of all your other comics? It can be more than one if you want to. It doesn't even have to be the most expensive one. But what is one that's just like,
I feel very, very special sentimental feelings about Superman 200 because just kept looking at it and I was curious about it, and it was an imaginary story, and it was about Superman's brother from Krypton who ended up being Superman instead of Kal-El, and Kal-El at the end became Hyperman, the Superman of Canada, and it also said that why am I switching teams?
I've always been your things from.
I was like, I've always been a DC person, right? So and I'm certainly not switching from men to women. That's never gonna happen. So I have and of course my father's from Canada. He was born in Ottawa, the capital, and I still have my family up there. So so I have my family members up there. So I feel very special about that issue. So probably that.
Okay.
But I feel now. Wait, there's a Spider-Man behind me, the Patrick Gleason second printing of Amazing Spider-Man 55, right? And that one is special to me. And I'd have to grab. That's one of the books I'd have to grab in a fire, right? God forbid. So Angel of Empire Comics, who was Empire Comics, he passed away suddenly last year, and it was just awful. It was unexpected. He's young. He had already lost his wife, the mother of his two children. Like there was. And his children becoming orphans in the project, like just too much.
It's tragic. That's
and to add to that, and we have the same LCS. We saw each other all the time. He was the one asking us to engage more with the comic community, right? And when he hit his 1,000 subscribers, he had Sam on, with Brian LCS and Southpaw Brad and a few people. And DJ Links, they were all together. And so, that was my very, very, very first glimpse to this. And it was Brian who was the one who reached out to me later on. But anyhow, Sam was in California with his girlfriend. Our friend Josh was up north on family vacation. Green Shirt Guy was across the globe with his son for a school trip. And they were in, Amsterdam or something when he got the news. He got it was 2:00 in the morning for him when he found out.
Oh my God.
So the only two of us who were available to go was Steve, who sorts our comics at the shop, and me. We were the two that went. And on my way there, Alon, New Jersey, on Instagram, he was running a contest for that Spider-Man, right? And I got the notification while driving to the funeral that I had won. And and by the way, and Empire loved Spider-Man, you know, like so anyhow, that's just it. Like that book is just fused to me because of that
Yeah,
series of events.
that's the best ones are the ones that have meaning to you. It's, it's like last week when I was talking to Lunch Bunny Comics. His favorite book meant a lot to him. Was a Spider-Man 2099 #1 because he had to save up to get that book as a kid because he couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So
I had to save up for Superman 200. And I actually, you know what? I had to save up for that and the one where he races the Flash, which might be Superman 201.
I'm not sure, but I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is. So I had to save up for both of those. Okay, it's not 201.
Okay.
Maybe it's 199.
It's in that area though, right? I think. I'm not
it's 199. Sure. It's 199.
Okay, so it's the one before. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's so funny. I guess mine is in just okay condition, but I think I paid for it then what it's probably still worth now. I paid like $33 for that one. Yeah, Swan, yes, Superman flying around, Swan style. It was just, that was beautiful. Neil Adams did a wonderful Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just too many. But the ones that have impacted me the most. So in childhood, Byrne and Perez impacted me heavily. In adulthood, Gary Frank, Jorge Jimenez, Dan Mora, Terry Moore. So Jerry Ordway did a good Superman. Okay, I like his Superman just fine. I prefer his Captain Marvel. His Shazam. I prefer that a lot. And speaking of preferring that a lot,
if anybody in the chat has a question for Cliff, put it up there. As long as it's not too invasive a question.
That's okay. I'm used to invasive.
Oh, he's used to it, so.
So look at that.
Oh, wow. Let me see if I can make you there we go.
There's some Jerry Ordway for you. And people are still asleep on this book. People still don't appreciate it. But this is a great run. Jerry Ordway story and cover. Peter Krause and Mike Manley art on the interiors. But great series. So this is the Jerry Ordway I prefer.
All right. I like it.
And then a very recent purchase. Yeah. A very recent
I'll just leave it here.
So this book typically goes for $250, $249. The guy dropped it down to $95, right? He recognized me on eBay, and of course I have all of the power of Shazam.
What do you think Cliff's an amateur here?
Yeah, like I've been collecting since I was 7 years old. That's 39 years of collecting at this point. Occasionally I realize where I missed some stuff. But this is the first cover appearance of Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, I remember when you got that. You showed it on the Comic Bits. Show us what you got.
Yes. So this is a big deal to me. Of course, I'll be showing this again in Only Slabs.
Of course. When are you going to be on there?
January.
Oh, awesome.
I'm trying to have as many birthday month appearances as possible.
I'm trying to get enough. I have like 3 or 4 ordered, so I'll be up to 10. So I'm like halfway there.
Did you follow my methods?
I sure did.
Good.
And I got a ASM 328 for $65 in a 9.4. So
wow.
That's the one where he's punching the Hulk in the balls. McFarlane. You know me, I'm a McFarlane nut. If anybody was to interview me,
So
I
wait,
would be like
you got it for how
McFarlane.
much?
65.
What was it, a 9.4?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really good.
That's a good price. And I have Avengers 54, which is the first cameo of Ultron for $48 and a 4.5.
Very nice.
It presents really well. I mean,
Yep.
to me, if you can get like a Silver Age comic book in mid grade, you're doing pretty good
Yeah, of course.
because they weren't really taken care of that much. But I don't know. I would show you some of mine, but I didn't. It's been a slow week for me on comic books, Cliff. I'm not. Everything got back ordered like because of my comic shop. But I will show you this. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but look at this one.
Oh, heavy metal.
This is look at the Mobius on the back. You know, he did like the Mobius is the bomb. But I always like Richard Corbin and that stuff. But my uncle, see, I was wheeled out. I'm acting like this is a show about me, but I basically got all his stuff when he passed away. So
That's all right. You're doing all right. You're doing all right. I mean, I'm sad that you inherited it like in that fashion, but
Yeah.
it's very cool.
We had a lot of. He was a big fan of like Bernie Wrightson and Joe Kubert and Richard Corbin, people like that. I even got some goofball stuff he did. Like, have you ever heard of Von Bodie?
No.
He was a rip-off press. He was like an underground.
Oh, okay. Now
He's his son kind of does his stuff for him now. But okay, has anybody got any questions for Cliff before we wrap it up?
I have my own method of getting on Only Slabs, debt and irresponsibility. Yeah, me too, buddy.
There you go. Yeah, cue
I'm
that.
right behind you.
Then we can cue that Family Guy song. I have $30,000 in credit card debt. Credit card debt. I want to get a soundboard where when I buy something expensive, that I can just push that and it'll play.
Credit card debt. Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah, well, if you want something, sometimes I guess you got to go into debt. Try to think.
But that shouldn't be the exact answer.
I know, but I guess I could always. There's always OnlyFans.
Listen, we got to be real careful. Every so often there's an exception to the rule, but the big guys, we only make about $70 a month.
I'm just kidding. I wanted to do one where I just like, she can like pay me like $30 a month to compliment her new hairdos and tell her she doesn't look fat in that outfit.
We should just my God, we should just do one where it's like two chubby guys. We just give people compliments for like 99 cents.
Yeah. Get a compliment for 99 cents. And I'm from Kentucky. I could just pronounce something funny for $1 or a nickel or something. I don't know. But
no, you can't go under $1. I'm pretty sure, or maybe under $2. You can't go too low. You can't go too low.
It reminded me of another Family Guy skit where he's like, "Here we got Joe Pesci here. If you give him a nickel, he'll pronounce something the wrong way."
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm about out of questions here, Cliff. But do you play? Are you
comics do I have? Black Spider says. Oh my God.
That's a tough question. Well, here, hold on. Give him a minute. He'll count them all. Just give us about 3 hours.
Well, in this room alone, in this room alone are 4 long boxes and 20 short boxes.
So guesstimating will be I don't know exactly, but it's well over 1,000 for sure.
Oh no, way over. All right,
easily over like 2,000 probably.
All right, so just the short boxes in this room would add up to 2,400 comics.
Well, I can't say I have that many. I have I got 6 short boxes, and one long box, but it's full of junk. That's my dollar comics when I do the dollar
Yeah.
haulers, I call it. That's where I just pull out of that one. I have a bunch of like Superboy. You remember Superboy and the Ravers? I have a bunch of those, and nobody ever wants them. So they've been here collecting dust for, I guess a year. But you know, you never know. I always put them up there because there's like some stuff I'm like, I had a bunch of new 52 Teen Titans. I'm like, nobody's ever going to buy this crap, right? And then one day somebody said, "Do you have any Teen Titans, new 52?" I said, "Well, it took 8 months, but finally somebody wants it." So you never know. All I always say about selling comic books is you just have to find the right person that wants that comic book right then. That's all. That's the thing with selling them. I have the claim sales. I have one tomorrow, but I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go, but you know, it's just fun to do it. And Cliff, I guess if anybody's got any questions, ask them now. But you know, I just want to say this is a heartfelt for me to you. When I got into this, I didn't really know if I would be accepted by everybody, you know. And you welcomed me in. You were nice enough to come on here. You've been a guest on my other shows before. I like to think we're friends now, and I'd like to thank you for your friendship and for coming on this show. It's just been great. And you didn't have to do this. I mean, you know, I got like 160 subscribers right now. I keep moving up, but I mean, you know, it's just like you or Mike last week. He didn't have to do that, and but it just proves to me that there are no good. If there's that gatekeeping crap is a bullshit to me. It's bullshit because I've been welcomed by everybody, whether it's been a big YouTuber or a small one or in between. So
Yeah.
I really just want to thank you for being on here. And guys,
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And by the way, and I'm adding my 2 cents because I mentioned Brian earlier. But Brian is the one who reached out to me when Brian was in the midst of moving from New York, and he made time and he came up to meet the whole council. He did an episode with us, right? For one of our new comic book day skits. He had me on his community 311 immediately when no one knew who I was, you know, in this community, right?
yeah.
So like and you know, we joke about who's the godfather, whatever, but I always say, I proudly will say Brian's my godfather as far as this community goes,
Yeah.
because we connected over losing Empire and he came right in, you know? And also, you know, shout out to DJ Lynx and Mark from Legion of Comics.
Oh,
Who are
absolutely.
just, you know, also just amazing and certainly not gatekeeping. Heck, sometimes I think I am a bit of a gatekeeper, you know, because
Well, they are. Those guys are pillars of this community, in my opinion.
yeah,
You know, and I just, I don't know. I don't have many friends anymore, so I'm glad I can count on you guys as friends. So, I mean, maybe you live in New York. It's cool. It don't matter where anybody lives at. Hope to meet you soon in person. And
I'm
we'll
hoarding.
have a blast
Listen, everyone support all my random sales that I have. Every sale that I do, I'm just gonna be like, remember it so I can get to Heroes.
That's what I'm saying. Every time I'm starting to, you know how they have the Christmas Club savings accounts? I'm going to start.
I have that. It's not a Christmas club, but I opened a separate savings just for Heroes.
Mine's the Heroes Con. Yeah. That's what I even wrote on the deposit book. This is for Heroes because I got to go. It's not just about the comics to me. I probably can't even afford to buy that many comics. I just kind of want to hang out with everybody.
Yep. And be able to eat. And be able to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. And get gas and not have to walk. Although I have an electric wheelchair, maybe I could just charge it up. And I'm just kidding. But I thought about if anybody needs
listen, Matt, whatever pre-walking exercise you need to do for June, start now.
Well, I got the where I can't walk that much because I got MD. I have the electric wheelchair, but maybe I can run over it. We can clear a hole. Everybody get behind me when it's crowded. We'll just clear a hole and go. I'll be like the fullback, you know what I mean? But I told who was I told this to? I think it was Boggs. I said, just get one of those little wagons, you know, those collapsible wagons like people take the swap meets. We'll hook it on the back and just everybody put their comic books in the back and I'll haul them. So I don't know, but I should be a good time. I'm hoping that Jim Steranko will be there because I want him to sign something, but I doubt he'll be there. But I hope he lives long enough to meet him.
Yes,
because I hear it's an experience to meet that guy.
it really is. It really is.
He told somebody I know that about punching Bob Kane in the face.
I can only imagine, and he's got an ego, so I believe it.
And it's probably not the only time somebody's wanted to punch Bob Kane. Let's just admit it, right? All right. Although Bill Finger probably should have. Never mind. But I digress. Well, don't go away yet, but I'm going to do my, if you don't mind, stick around. Okay, I'll just put you, I'm going to remove you from the scene.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, it's been a fun broadcast. And listen, I think I'm on TV and shit. Well, anyway, it's been fun. I'm glad you guys that came in. For the people watching on the replay, thank you. Don't forget, I have a claim sale tomorrow night at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. And I will be on the new Comic Book Day show on Couple Comics at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm all over the damn place. And then don't forget my Sunday Super Show Extravaganza. I hope to have some of you guys in the chat as guests if you want to be on. We talk about new Comic Book Day. We do all this great stuff. Previews of that. We show the top 20 trending comics. But until next time, true believers, Excelsior. And there we go.